Welcome
Awesome.
back, Arturo.
Yes, yes, thank you. Thank you. I have to confess that I am one of Ileana's also most adept customers.
I,
Uh,
I thought you might be.
yeah,
There's a
besides
lot
being a
going on
coffee
in
lover.
Monterey.
Amazing.
Yeah, I know
Well,
Ileana for some years now. She's also an amazing teacher. She actually quit being a teacher to move over to this project. And now she realizes that she's still educating and she's still doing this calling and this mission. And
Oh,
she collaborates with the university as well. But I've seen, and she has also inspired many students that know her, that become customers, and she drives them to build up their own business models and their own. She didn't mention that, but she actually has received like many awards for doing
oh,
that. It's a great.
phenomenal woman. Phenomenal.
well, Arturo, we're so excited to hear from you about your attitude determines your altitude. I have to
All
say, you've
right.
got some catchy phrasing. Practical tips to get your superpowers ready. Tell us more.
All right, so let me start sharing my screen here. And well, your attitude determines your altitude is a phrase that uh, embraces one of my favorite NASA posters. It's the one that I'm showing here on the right about NASA Superstars of Spaceflight. This is the second version, which pays tribute actually to the crew of Columbia and other bright explorers. And actually, one of the chances that I've had to work in projects in NASA, I saw this banner and it really touched me. And because I have met during my life all of these wonderful people. And I started researching where this phrase comes from. Apparently it's a quote from Zig Ziglar that he says that it's not your competence, but it's your attitude that determines your altitude. But there are like many variations, but this is the way I want to call it because it's actually what I've seen in almost, well, in about like 23 years that I've been working with young innovators, that I've been working like digging in and being fascinated by STEM and being amazed by all of the potential that youngsters can have when they have the proper attitude and they can get like reach really high altitude. So this is about some of the tips that I have picked up also in this over 20 years of coaching and interacting with bright innovators as my students or other kinds of projects. Basically, I want to start speaking. I'm an engineer, so I want to start like speaking about some phenomena that we can see in nature. We have well bunches of phenomena. I just want to list like the photoelectric effect, the thermoelectric effect, the piezoelectric effect, the phenomena that makes an electric motor work and an electric motor work like an electric generator, like the this phenomenal bike, the pay-per-view bicycle that we saw earlier today. Well, there's all of these phenomena in which actually when we put, nature teaches us that when we put energy work into them, it can be transformed into some other sort of or manifestation of energy. But some of these effects in some certain conditions, we also see the reverse effect. Like the photoelectric effect has allowed to develop, photovoltaic and solar cells. In the thermoelectric effect, I can recall the Peltier cell, in which if you drive an electric current, it's going to behave like a heat pump. One of the sides is going to be like really hot, driving the heat to the other side and cooling the other. So this thing is really used in cooling down computers, in cooling down like low energy refrigerators. But then the reverse effect happens with these wafers as well. Like if you place a real hot, like a hot cup of Ileana's coffee on top of one of these ceramic wafer semiconductors, it actually causes a voltage that you could use to produce electricity. So pretty much like in a piezoelectric effect, that if you put or you pass an electric current or pulses, you can have like vibrations that gave a chance to the quartz and the electronic oscillators and electronic watches because of this very, very constant vibrations. Well, the other effect is also true. If you squeeze a piezoelectric element, it will cause like this voltage, this electric potential that could be used or could, in a circuit, it could like cause the flow of current. And the electric motor is the same thing. We've seen it, like you pass on electricity, it spins, and if you spin the axle, perhaps with less efficiency, but it will produce electricity, all right? So this is something that has really fascinated me as a science teacher and as an engineer. So now let's talk about the skills that are really useful for being an inventor and innovator. Brian spoke about these awesome tips. I was really sorry that his audio was a little bit choppy, but I could get like the essence. He is so good at communicating, you know, the how-tos and like really you know, details on how, and I think that's why he's the coach, inventor coach, right? But well, we know that all of the participants in the gift are awesome in ideation, they're awesome in designing, in building, prototyping, testing, but they need also to be really good communicating, sharing, presenting, and why not launching and selling and setting off into mass production and being like successful entrepreneurs. But these four last skills, normally we just forget them when we're like so eager to invent things and so eager to do things. We have seen some of the percentages that are natural in communicating and sharing and presenting, but some of us are not. So actually, this is about knowing that we all have the muscle, and even if we are quite good at something, we still need to work it out to keep it on, and why not to make it better. So that's when the attitude, it starts to determine our altitude. And I'm not speaking here about running and training for a marathon, why not, why yes, but we're speaking about these particular skills that will unleash your superpowers. So I'm going to speak here of a case. This is a rather current case about science, a debate of science and pseudoscience. Like some time ago, there was like a really famous TED Talk that spoke about the body language and posing and what were the psychological effects behind that. The researchers even claimed that they did like some testings, and other scientists start debating like, no way, that's not true, and there's this debate around it. But after I saw that, I started to think about those phenomenon in nature. So this is like Amy Curtis, like against like others. So if nature gives us these examples, so if a piezoelectric element vibrates and even beeps or buzzes when we use an electric current, and if we squeeze it, it could generate an electric current. So maybe that thing about we could just like some behind the body language to actually unleash those superpowers. So I'm going to use here the website, because that was the condition that that the author of this asked that I didn't like copy the images. I scrolled down on the website. Actually, there's like computer generated images that show poses and the importance of body language applies to photography. So like you know, when someone in a picture has a high power pose versus a low power pose, it can give you striking differences on the image itself. You know, like high power poses when sitting that express confidence, and sitting that express, you know, like low confidence. And this is, well, this is the way he uses that for photography. So it's if it's like a piezoelectric element, and the body language communicates a message, or communicates something. Well, perhaps if we use the body language, we could trigger off some effects into making our skills grow up. And that's what Amy Cuddy is speaking about. I do not really agree, or we don't have evidence, scientific evidence to support or not support her research, but in over 20 years of working with young innovators, I have found a correlation about using this, the power-up pose. If we squeeze ourselves into this pose for a few seconds, you will instantly start to feel like Wonder Woman or Superman. So you can try it now. You can just stand and stand up like that, and you will, in about 9 to 15 seconds, I promise, you will start something in your chest that flows and is preparing you to power up. So this is called the Wonder Woman pose. And
Arturo, we have 1 more minute, and I want to make sure we get all these best poses.
Okay. Now, this pose actually speaks about closing a deal. So now, in the study, Amy Cuddy says, like, you need to stand like that during the situation. What I have found is that you could be in private, do it by yourself, and if you stand like that and start reviewing what you're gonna do, like using that let's close the deal pose, your superpower to close the deal will be much better by the time you face it. Or the get ready to pitch is not speaking about pitching somebody like that. That's called the Obama pose. But actually, you can sit down like that for 30 seconds and practice that, and you will start to feel that when you stand up and get ready for that, you will be pitching. You will be pitching like a Cy Young player. This is the upcoming interview pose. You know, stand is similar to the Wonder Woman pose. Just open like a V, the arms for a few seconds, and when you're ready, you will make an awesome interview that is going to be striking. And that's about the most important poses, and I think it's just about time.
It feels like professional yoga.
Yeah.
Get all the energy flowing in the right productive ways. I am so, yeah, no, it's too bad my boss is on with me, because she's going to know when I'm coming to close the deal in her office, right? Just kidding.
I already do, Erin. I already do. But that was a
great.
fantastic presentation, Arturo. Thank you so much. And
Sure.
so much great learning, and great learning again for our young listeners in terms of, you know, learning those power poses at an early age. I sure wish I'd known those when I was, well, negotiating with my parents. So
You can still unleash your superpowers then.
I can, Arturo. Muchas gracias again. Muchas gracias. Thank you so
All right.
much.
Thank you, everyone. See you.